flashed through his memory like silt washing down a clear mountain stream. Half-forgotten dreams of dreams. Images of shadows only glimpsed at dusk through the trees, darting furtively from one to the other, leaves crunching beneath a horde of unseen feet, rhythmic and hypnotic. He struggled to crawl through a mind littered knee-deep in memory, trampling him beneath an endless parade of guilt and remorse and shame. Blank, dead faces jubilantly hefting their batons, beating their drums, clashing their cymbals, a sound like the brittle crumbling of autumn leaves. Crunching, crackling, reduced to an ashen flower, scattered by the lightest of breezes, like the desiccated bones of the long dead, the amalgamated millions, billions, one indistinguishable from the other. In a flash of light and heat, spirits fled, identity departed. The old man stared up at a battered flag hanging limp and forlorn from a worn wooden pole. Fitting, he thought, it should hang in such a manner. Fitting it should fold in upon itself, covering itself with itself. Hiding, perhaps, ashamed. It should be. It should be. He strolled on past down the cracked, weedy sidewalk, perilously uneven, his old man's hips throwing his old man's body off balance. Joints no longer so smooth and well-oiled as they once had been, grated and popped to the point of distraction, throwing his flabby, atrophied limbs all askew. He walked all a-jangle, not a pretty sight, he knew. But then his looks had ceased to be a concern years ago. As his thick head of dark hair receded, thinned, faded into gray, it had been replaced by other, less attractive things. Hairy ears, for instance, and liver spots, and flatulence, and phlegm. Lots of phlegm. He hawked and spat. A dog barked at him as he jangled loosely past, the same dog who always barked at him. Mutt. Nothing special, just noise. More noise. A constant stream of it, all flowing together until he was unable to discern one sound from the other. The roar of a waterfall, a Niagara in his head. It was the tsunami howl of a million voices all clamoring at once, demanding satisfaction, demanding justice, demanding blood. His blood. He shivered. Cool morning breeze, dewy and moist, wafted down the lane, seemingly intent only on him. Icy fingers clawed all around his tremblesome frame for purchase, raking his skin, leaving goosebumps in their wake. He squinted, his eyes watering, the corner of his mouth twitching, suddenly afraid. But only a little. It was not so bad. The dreams were worse. Infinitely worse. For a moment he stood on unsteady ankles, hands clutching his elbows to his chest to fend off the chill which clattered up his bent spine. With the back of his wrist he wiped out the sockets around his puffy eyes, bleary, hazy with year piled upon year, and continued on down the sidewalk, blinking away the moisture, blinking away the years. They fell away onto the sidewalk beside him, clattering, bouncing angrily off the concrete, furious at being abandoned, at being so easily sloughed off. They nipped hatefully at his heels, their disoriented and cacophonous number growing by the moment, their yowls hoarse and scratchy, insistent, but lacking the vibrant persuasiveness of youth. The burden of all those years was suddenly gone. A great weight was lifted from his stooped shoulders. He rose up straight for the first time in a decade or more. The pride which had long since seeped away, trickling down his leg by way of his incontinent turncoat bladder, was suddenly restored to his posture.
Chin up, chest out, heel, march, soldier boy, march.
Hard, brittle bones, like crumbling, grinding sandstone under his skin. Softened and revivified, came alive, returning the long absent spring to his step. So he ran, scattering the furious years by the wayside, leaving the growling threats and empty, violent promises behind him. Unable to keep up, they were the rickety rants of an old man. So he ran, and he laughed, and it was good. He ran hither and yon, blissfully, joyously, directionless. Youthful chaos ruled by whim, the course charted by wild-eyed, eager wonder. A bit over-eager, perhaps, but that was to be expected. He was still young and free. A long way from 18, a long way from the stifling cadence of military life.
Hurry there! Left, right, left. About face, company,
and the running stopped. Right then and there, the breeze no longer playfully, boisterously tussling his hair, for he hadn't any. Uncle Sam had taken it, shaved his head bald, his crowning glory laying flat and windless in a heap beneath the barber chair, there amid all those forlorn years, still following him, still nipping at his ragged heels. Eventually, inevitably, they caught up to him, those years, leaping onto his back, single file, military style, piling up one after the other, day after day, month after month, years into decades. The youth was long gone, the spontaneity absent, replaced by order and responsibility, and above them all, in flashing marquee letters, discipline, the natural rhythm of his life, the energetic and optimistic bounce in his step, was transformed by a martial beat into the cadent clomp of boot heels on tarmac. The gleam in his eye diminished to a snide squint, his individuality melting into a common pool, stifled and beaten down by that uniform, that hateful, devouring uniform, taking another bite out of him each time he donned it, a constricting spiritual straitjacket. And the years climbed furtively aboard, one by one, like wharf rats, beady-eyed stowaways, weighing him down deeper and deeper into the water, drowning him, killing him slow, dunking his head beneath the waves over and over again, washing his mind clean of himself, of what he once was and what he should have been. The boy became a bird of prey, soaring high above the clouds, a distant rumble, ominous, lethal. His belly was heavy with death, pregnant with it, and he, the bombardier, was eager to disseminate it, a little here, a little there, watching the cities light up below, like fireflies. Fire, thunderous and agonizing. The images seared his skin, and he winced, frowning at the memory of that flaccid flag, hanging 2 blocks hence, strung up for crimes against humanity. He frowned at all the other memories as well, the whole stinking lot of them, tried his damnedest to outrun them, only he couldn't run anymore. The years had caught up, reducing him to a shuffle, a disjointed, tedious old man's walk. He sighed, wanting to run, tried to recall where specifically the strength had deserted him. Discipline and order had flown, replaced replaced by emptiness, by void. There was nothing left of himself to fill the wide open spaces within. It had been devoured by that ravenous man-eating uniform. His personality wrapped around the neck and shoulders of a splintering wooden hanger, tucked away in the belly of his closet, irretrievable, like his youth. But at least he was alive, he supposed, trying to console himself, for whatever that was worth, whatever it meant. He was terrified of dying, of having to face all those he sent there ahead of himself. So many, he imagined there had to be standing room only. Their hollow, patient eyes, their expressionless faces, haunting him, stalking his dreams, growing nearer, their icy breath frosting the nape of his neck. There weren't many years left for them to pursue him, if there were any at all, before his last precious moments sifted through clutching, desperate fingers, and he found himself standing horror-stricken at the end of the line, the dead waiting their turn at him, great in their numbers, vast in their collective width and breadth. They were growing restless, a murmur of bare feet shuffling ever nearer, and would not be denied forever. Only doing what they told me, he protested weakly. The same old well-worn argument, full of patches and riven with holes, thin and threadbare, offering no warmth or comfort anymore, the words now as barren as his wasteland soul. Voices they whisper at night when it's quiet, too quiet. Yours was the finger that pushed the button, they reminded him, the hand that pulled the lever. They taught you to take responsibility, didn't they? To be a man. So take it, they hiss. So be one. Be a man. But he was too old to change. He just wanted to be a boy again. Wanted his strong legs and his bellows lungs. Wanted his trim waistline, his proud shoulders. So he could run again. From the fireflies, from the levers and the buttons, from the ashen memories, the nuclear nightmares, from those last few remaining years, marching relentlessly toward him double time, and from what lay beyond, half-forgotten dreams of dreams, images of shadows crunching beneath his feet, like autumn.